The world is too big and he is too small. The scent of damp earth and rotting cycads fills his nostrils, a thick, green smell that is the smell of fear itself. He is a child of the Australopithecus, the small, clever ones, but his clan is gone, scattered by the roar and the shadow that fell from the sky. Now, the symphony of the prehistoric world is a chorus of threats. Every snap of a twig is a predator. Every snap of a twig is a predator. Every distant bellow a titan. His small hands, so good at cracking nuts and shaping stone, now only tremble as they grip the slick bark of a moss-covered log. Hunger is a dull ache in his belly, but terror is a sharp stone in his throat. He needs to move to find water, but his legs are frozen. This is a profound moment in hominid history, though he cannot know it, the primal terror that separates the hunted from the hunter. He is decisively the former. A sound cuts through the oppressive air, not a roar or a shriek, but a low, mournful call. It is a sound of loneliness, a note he recognizes in his own silent heart. Curiosity, that dangerous, essential hominid trait, pulls him from his hiding place. He moves slowly, a shadow among shadows, his bare feet silent on the decomposing leaves. Through a curtain of giant ferns, he sees it. A juvenile Parasaurolophus, no bigger than a large deer, stands by a stream, and the iconic crest on its head is still just a gentle, undeveloped curve. It calls out again, a hollow, resonant plea for a herd that is no longer there. The child watches his own sense of abandonment mirrored in the creature. This dinosaur is not a monster. It is an orphan. The shared silence is broken by a sudden rustling in the undergrowth, sharp and predatory. The young Parasaurolophus freezes, its large, dark eyes wide with panic. The child feels it too, a change in the air, the scent of a carnivore on the wind. Instinct screams at him to climb, to flee. But he looks at the other small, lost creature, and a different impulse sparks. He sees a hollow in the base of a colossal fallen tree, a dark space woven with thick roots. He saps the ground softly with his palm. A small, urgent sound. He looks at the dinosaur, then points with his chin toward the hollow. The Parasaurolophus, trembling, seems to understand the gesture. As the rustling grows closer, the child scrambles into the darkness of the hollow log. A moment later, the dinosaur awkwardly folds its legs and squeezes in beside him. They huddle together in the damp, earthy darkness. A small hominid and a young herbivore. Their twin heart beats a frantic drum against the encroaching silence of the hunt. The danger passes, a fleeting shadow in the tapestry of prehistoric life. They emerge from the log into a world washed clean by fear. The bond forged in darkness holds in the light. When a series of deep, resonant calls echo from the far ridge, the young Parasaurolophus answers with its own lonely cry and begins to move. The child, a fragment of ancient humans in a world not yet his, faces a choice: the terrifying solitude of the jungle or the uncertain sanctuary of the giants. He follows. The herd is a moving mountain range of green and brown flesh. Massive adults, their hollow crests fully formed and curving majestically, rip ferns from the ground with casual strength. They stop when they see him, this small, bipedal creature trailing their young one. Their deep, placid eyes, the size of his fists, watch him with an unnerving lack of aggression. There is only immense, weighty curiosity. The juvenile moves to the side of a colossal female, rubbing its head against her leg and emitting a series of soft, burbling notes. The female lowers her head, sniffing the child, her warm breath smelling of crushed leaves and river water. She seems to understand. He is not a threat. He is simply there. He becomes their silent shadow. Days bleed into weeks. He learns the rhythm of the herd, a living grammar of survival dictated by sound. This is a masterclass in paleontology unfolding before him. A low, continuous hum, vibrating through the very soles of his feet, is the sound of peace, of safe grazing. A sharp, percussive blast from the lead male's crest means danger, a signal that sends the entire herd into a state of tense, watchful stillness. Questioning calls are for locating one another in the dense fog of the early morning. These are not mere noises, they are the architecture of their society. His primate brain, built for pattern recognition and social complexity, becomes a silent student. He observes, he connects, he understands. He begins to practice. Away from the main herd, he cups his hands over his mouth, trying to shape his own breath into their language. Pathetic squeaks compared to the orchestral power of their crests, but he is persistent. This is the dawn of vocal mimic reborn from utter necessity, a core survival skill being forged in the crucible of a lost world. The young Parasaurolophus, he said, becomes his tutor. It often stands nearby as he practices, tilting its head, its own crest emitting soft, encouraging rumbles. He learns that a short, upward-inflected hoot from the juvenile means play or look. He learns that a drawn-out, low moan is a sign of contentment as it chews on particularly sweet blossoms. He cannot replicate their sounds, but he can replicate their meaning. He develops his own lexicon. A sharp clap of his hands becomes his version of the alarm call. A series of soft clicks with his tongue is how he signals his presence, so as not to be trodden upon. One evening, as the herd settles, the juvenile wanders a little too far into the twilight-shrouded trees. The child, seeing its silhouette fade, cups his hands and lets out the closest sound he can manage to the herds, where a U, kill a high, clear, denote whistle. Across the clearing, the young dinosaur stops. It turns its head. It calls back with a soft, questioning coo. It is not their language, but for the first time it is a conversation. The sun hangs low, casting long, distorted shadows that make the familiar world strange. The herd grazes in a wide clearing bordered by a dense grove of magnolias, their broad leaves creating a wall of deep green. It is the quiet hour, the time between the heat of the day and the terror of the night. The child sits perched on a cluster of weathered stones, a small vantage point that lets him see over the ferns. He chews on a tough root, watching his adopted family with a sense of belonging that has finally quieted the constant take of loneliness. The young Parasaurolophus, his constant companion, browses nearby, occasionally glancing back at him. It is a scene of immense peace, the kind of peace that early humans would dream of, a fragile moment stolen from a world of teeth and claws. It is the peace before the storm. His eyes, sharper and more attuned to subtle patterns than the herd's, catch the anomaly first. A patch of ferns shivers when there is no wind. A shadow detaches itself from another shadow near the tree line. He freezes, the root dropping from his hand. His gaze sweeps the perimeter, his mind racing. There, another one, and another. A pack of Deinonychus, the sickle-clawed demons of the undergrowth, are ghosting through the foliage. They move with a liquid, terrifying patience, using the herd's own grazing sounds to mask their approach. The dinosaurs are oblivious, their heads down, their powerful senses focused on the scent of edible plants, not the faint, dry scent of reptilian hunters on the breeze. He understands with chilling clarity this is a coordinated ambush. The predators are sealing the exit. Panic seizes him. He could scramble higher up the rocks, saving himself. But a deep, guttural sound of contentment trembles from the large female who first accepted him, and the thought of abandoning them is a physical pain. He must warn them. But how the herd's alarm call is a deep, powerful blast, a sound his small lungs and human larynx cannot possibly produce. A shout would be lost in the vastness. As the Deinonychus pack coils for the final rush, a desperate idea ignites in his mind. It is a gamble on the unknown, a prayer offered to the god of strange noises. He stands on the rock, making himself visible. He takes the deepest breath his small frame can hold. And then he screams. It is not a word. It is the two-note "where are you" whistle he uses for his friend. But now it is ripped from his throat, with all the terror and adrenaline he possesses. It is a high-piercing, unnatural shriek that cuts through the placid air like a shard of obsidian. It is a sound that does not belong in the dinosaur documentary of this world. The effect is instantaneous and profound. The Deinonychus pack, moments from explosion into a frenzy of violence, freezes. Their heads snap up, their slit-head pupils contracting in confusion. What is this sound? It is not the cry of prey. It is not the challenge of a rival. It is alien. The pause lasts only a heartbeat, but it is enough. The Parasaurolophus herd, jolted by the sheer strangeness of the cry, lifts their massive heads. They see the frantic, pointing silhouette of the child on the rock. They follow his gaze. And then they see the hunters, their camouflage broken, their surprise attack shattered. The lead male lets out a deafening, thunderous roar that shakes the very trees, and the herd wheels as one, a wall of muscle and bone. The ambush is over. The Deinonychus, their advantage lost, melt back into the shadows. In the ringing silence, the child stands shaking on his rock, not a master of this world, but its first true diplomat. This symbiotic relationship has saved them all. Embers and echoes. This single moment, a strange cry in a forgotten forest, is more than the story of one lost child. It is a whisper of what is to come, a faint echo from the dawn of human evolution. Across the grand, brutal stage of prehistoric life, survival was so often a matter of strength, of armor, of teeth. But here, on this day, a new weapon was forged: the ability to see the world through another's eyes, to build a bridge of communication across an impossible biological divide. The path of hominid history would not be paved solely with sharpened stones and controlled fire, but with these audacious leaps of empathy. The child did not conquer the beast, he spoke to it. He did not tame the world, he found a way to belong within it. His cry was a declaration that intelligence was not just for outsmarting a rival, but for creating an ally, proving that the most powerful tool in the arsenal of our human ancestors was never the spear, but the voice that dared to call a monster friend. What truly began our ascent, the first hand that picked up a stone, or the first mind that saw a kindred spirit in the eyes of a creature utterly different from itself? This has been an alternate prehistory survival chronicle. Listen closely to the silence between the heartbeats of the past. But what happens when the language they build is overheard by something even more intelligent?